Well, hello, friends. Melissa May here, and welcome to the Network Marketers Playbook podcast. I'm so pumped about this episode. I actually think this has the ability to change your life if you let it. We're going to talk about the concept of fake it till you make it, but not really. We're going to talk about something that I like to call acting as if. And I think this concept is what has helped me achieve massive success. It's what has helped me have confidence. It is what has helped me step into the next version of myself. It is what has helped me become a leader, uh, step into situations that made me uncomfortable. It's what has helped me uh, be more bold. It's what has helped me take risks. It is what has helped me ultimately become a multiple seven-figure earner and network marketing leader and trainer. And so I want you to take this seriously, because if you commit to what I'm about to share, if you implement it, if you believe in it, it does have the ability to change your life. And so this concept of act as if, it's not faking it till you make it. We're not talking about faking a lifestyle or faking material things or faking an income or faking results that you're not actually getting. We're talking about acting as if. We're talking about picturing the next version of yourself, what that looks like, and stepping into that. And I have some assignments, but first, I just kind of want to share an experience that I had, because I've been in network marketing for 7 or 8 years now. And the first company that I was with, I think I made maybe $1,000 in 2 months or 2 years. I was not successful there at all, right? I wasn't successful. I think there were a lot of things that played into my lack of success. Number one, I didn't go to an event ever. I never got on the company calls or the trainings. I didn't plug into the community. I wasn't a student of the actual craft in the industry. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't seek out coaching. I didn't even know network marketing coaches and mentors existed 7 and 8 years ago. And so I felt like I was one of those people that was just throwing spaghetti at a wall to see what stuck. I was more in it for a hobby. I was more in it for a community at that time. But what I did do in those 2 years was I spent a lot of time observing what the top most successful people were doing. I spent a lot of time observing how the top most successful people showed up daily. I observed how they treated their teams. I observed what their social media content was like. I observed what their habits were. I observed their mindset. I observed their personalities. So I spent a lot of time observing, not getting results, but observing, understanding. And when I switched companies 5.5 years ago, I made a decision. And I think this is a key part. You got to make a decision, right? I made a decision that I was no longer going to be the version of myself who failed at this. I made a decision that I was no longer going to be the version of myself who wasn't successful and wasn't making money and wasn't actually living the life of my dreams. I made that decision. And then what I did when I came to my current company is from day one, I acted as if. I acted as if I was a top leader before I ever even had a team. I acted as if I was a trainer before I ever had anyone to train. I acted as if I was a top income earner before I ever made an income. I started showing up from day one with the level of belief and certainty of someone at the top. And today, 5.5 years later, I am one of the top ranks in our company. I'm the second to the highest rank in our company. I'm a multi seven-figure earner. I'm a trainer for our company. I do a lot of other speaking engagements and training of, you know, for other network marketing trainers. And so, in their communities. And so oftentimes I've heard this so many times before. Have you ever heard this? Like, I'll believe it when I see it. Have you ever even said that? Or have you ever heard someone say, I'll believe it when I see it? And I'm like, man, that's just not the right way to think, man. That's not the right way to go through life. I had a team member who was going after our car bonus rank, and she said, well, I'm not going to believe it's possible until I see it, until I see that number, until I see that volume and that rank. I'm not going to believe it. She never, ever, ever hit that rank. She never hit it. And you know why? Because she didn't believe it. She wasn't acting as if. She thought she had to see it to believe it. And I know from experience, look, it looks like I have horns. I know from experience that you actually have to see it first, or you actually have to believe it first to see it. You have to believe in what you're doing. You have to believe in the possibility. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in all of these things to actually see what's possible. And so when I came to our current company, I acted as if I stepped into the next version of myself. Okay. I stepped into that next version of myself. But here's the thing. There's actual steps that you have to take to be able to step into that next version of yourself. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, is what are the actual tactical things you can do to step into that next version of yourself. And number one, you have to realize that it doesn't matter what your past looked like. It doesn't matter what your present looks like. You have the power to choose a different future. You have the power to make a choice to do something differently tomorrow. And if you want a different result, you have to do something different. If you want a different experience in your life, you have to do something different. You can't do the same things over and over again and expect a different result. That's the definition of insanity. So if you want a different life, if you want a different business, if you want different experiences, you have to become someone different. So, you know what I mean? Like, you have to become someone different. When I joined my company, I became someone different. I became a top leader. I decided I was a top leader. I showed up like a top leader. I had habits of a top leader. I walked and talked like a top leader. I made social media content like a top leader. What ended up happening? I became a top leader. And you can do this too, but you have to be willing to forget who you were. You have to be willing to not be attached to your past. You have to be willing to let your failures be something you experience, but not a definition of who you are. Okay. And so here's some actual tactical things that you could do. Here's what I do. So number one, you have to know who that next version of yourself is. This might be a quicker episode, but that's okay. I want you to, if you actually do these things that I'm about to tell you, you could change your life. And these are things that this is what I do. This is what I did. Number one, you have to have a vision of who you want to become. You have to have a vision of who you want to become. Okay? The next step is actually to visualize that person. So I have a vision board in Pinterest, and then I took all the pictures from Pinterest and I put them in a presentation and I printed it so I can see it visually. Actually have it somewhere. Oh, I have it right here. Hold on. If you are watching the YouTube video, you can actually see the picture of this. If you're on the podcast, you'll have to look at the YouTube video, but this is my vision board, who I am becoming. That's what it's titled, Who I Am Becoming. So what I did was I wrote down and I found pictures of who I am becoming. I titled the vision board in Pinterest, Who I Am Becoming. And I found images of who I see that next version of myself. What is she doing? What is she wearing? How is she standing? How does she present herself? And I found images that represented who I am becoming. I put them on a vision board. All right, so that's the step. That's the first step. Get a vision, a visual of who you are becoming. Okay, I did that in Pinterest, and then I take those pictures and I put them in a presentation in PowerPoint and then I printed it out. Okay. So that's the first thing. You have to actually know who you want to become. You can't become a top leader. You can't become a successful public speaker or a successful podcaster or a successful leader or trainer if you don't have the vision for it, right? You have to have that vision. You have to see it. Picture yourself in that role. Or if you want to experience a specific thing, you have to see yourself experiencing those things, right? And so then here's the second thing that I want you to do. And I want you to get out a notebook and I want you to write a list. And I want you to title the list, The Next Version of Me. And how does this person show up? And I want you to make a list of what you think that next person, that next version of you shows up as. So if you want to become a successful network marketer, you want to become a 6 or 7 figure earner, you want to become a public speaker, you want to become a podcaster, you want to become a successful business person, how does that person show up on a daily basis? What are their habits? What are their thoughts and their mindset? What is their personality like? How do they spend their time? Who do they hang out with? How do they walk? How do they dress? What are their routines like? How do they show up? How do they treat other people? How do they recognize their team? How do they give love? Right? How do they get better? How do they work? What is their work ethic like? Get as detailed as possible. How does that next version show up? You have to be able to understand and know and get clear on how that next version of you shows up. All right. Get detailed, feel it, see it. If you listen to the last podcast, then you know to embody that, you have to actually feel the emotion of being that person, stepping into that person. And then list number 3, what things do you have to start doing differently to be that next version of you, right? If you have horrible routines, horrible habits, you waste a lot of time scrolling on social media, you don't take bold action, you don't take risks, you don't ask for help, you don't put yourself in uncomfortable situations, do you think you have to start doing things differently to become the next version of yourself? Do you think maybe you need to be better with your time? Do you think maybe you need to have better habits? Do you think maybe you need to read more? Do you think you might need to hang out with some different people? Do you think maybe you need a mentor? Do you think maybe you have to just do things that make you uncomfortable? Do you think maybe you have to take a course, go learn some new things? What do you have to do to actually become that version? I want you to write those things down. I want you to understand those things. I want you to get clear on those things. And as you're going through this exercise, in your mind, I want you to picture yourself doing those things. I want you to picture what it feels like to be that person. Really feel the joy, feel how unstoppable, how powerful, how confident, how amazing, how exciting your life is as this version of you. And then I want you to commit to showing up differently. I want you to commit to start doing the things that you just wrote down. Start showing up every day. Tomorrow, you can make a choice that you are no longer going to be the person with habits that don't get you closer to your goals. You can choose to be a better leader for your team. You could choose to show up on social media differently. You get to choose. But you have to know what that looks like, right? You have to know what that looks like. So go through these activities, have a clear picture of what that next version of you looks like. What do you want to experience? Who do you want to become? What do you want to have? How much money do you want to make? How do you want to be making it? What does your career look like? What are the experiences in your life that you're going to be having? Okay, I want you to get clear on that. Then I want you to know, how does that person show up, right? And if you are observing people, success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. Spend time observing what the person that already has what you want is doing? How do they show up? What is their mindset like? What are their habits like? What do they eat? Who do they hang out with? What do they dress like? Where do they shop? Right? Observe, take note, get clear, have a vision, and then start showing up like that person today. Because you won't be able to see it until you believe it, until you act like it, right? And I want to let you know that it starts with your thought. Your thoughts create emotions. Your emotions will are what dictate your actions, and your actions are what dictate your reality. So first you need to have a thought. Think about that next version of yourself. What do you want to experience? Feel the emotion of what it would look like and feel like to actually be that person. Start acting like that person now, and your reality is inevitable. That version of your life, those experiences, that dream life that you want, it's coming. It's possible if you commit to these things, if you commit to these exercises, if you commit to being a different version. And it's okay. That doesn't mean that this version of you isn't good. That doesn't mean that this version of you isn't great. It's just an evolution. You've reached the lid. You've reached the lid of who you thought you could be now, and now it's time to open the lid, raise the lid, lift it, and become someone else again. And that's amazing. And it's exciting. And you can do this. You could do it. I just can't wait. I just can't wait for you guys to just experience that next level of yourself, that next version of yourself. It's going to be incredible. You're going to change your life. You're going to change the life of your kids. You're going to change your whole future. You're going to change the life. Your legacy is about to change. And I can't wait. So I hope that was helpful. Just so you know, this podcast is absolutely free. There's no ads. There's no pitches. There's nothing being sold. This is just me wanting to serve and add value in a way that feels most aligned to me. And I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please feel free to screenshot it, tag me at melissamay.insta, and like and follow for more. All right, you guys, I love you. See you next time.